In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how the project browser is organized. Out of the box, Revit under views, it typically does not organize things by architectural, MEP, and structural. If I pick on a view has properties. And if I scroll down on the properties, there is a discipline which could take care of the architectural, MEP, and structural. I just happen to do it a little bit different way here, and I'll show you that. And then down at the very bottom, there's something called a view sort and a view subsort. So I could go to architectural, and then I could go a whole nother level deep as far as how I would want to organize my views. So I'm going to take a look at the process of how this is done. In Revit, there is a file called your shared parameters file. What that allows you to do is to make unique fields that can be applied in your Revit model. So I can make a unique field a property of a view or a property of a window or a door. It could be anything. So the shared parameter file, if I go to my Manage tab, and then if your screen has a bigger resolution, there's an icon here. I just got to hover over it to show you that this is the shared parameters button. So if I pick that, it gets me to my shared parameter file. This could be something that is recommended stored on a network so everybody accesses the same file. Now in the shared parameter file, you can make your own groups. Okay, so down here I could say new group and make a new group. So if I go to project browser, and then within here I can make new parameters. If I make a new parameter, all I do is I give the parameter a name, tell it what it belongs to, and what kind of parameter is it. You know, is it a yes, no? And a lot of these things can be used in family development and things like that. So what I did, if you look at this view sort, and I go to properties, okay, it's just common and it's just a text parameter. So all I did is I made a parameter called view sort. Once that was in my shared parameter file, then in the Manage tab, if I go to project parameters, this shows me all the different project parameters that have been imported. So I would just say something like this. I would say I want to add a project parameter, and I would say that it comes from a shared parameter and pick select. When I do that, it gets me into my shared parameter file. And then I just went to project browser, picked view sort, selected OK, and then over on the right hand side, these are all the different Revit parts and pieces that these shared parameters could be associated with. So if I scroll down, I would say I want it associated to views. Now when I pick OK, it's going to tell me that the parameter has already been added, but I just wanted to show you the process. I went to my shared parameter file, picked the parameter I wanted, and told it what I wanted to associate it to. So now when I come into my project, any view, if I go to the properties of any view, it contains this view sort parameter that I can add to. Once I type one in from the drop down, the others will show up. So every view can then be associated to a specific parameter. The same goes for sheets. If I expand my sheet section, I can see that it's broken down into architectural, scroll back down here, architectural, combined, MEP, and structural. Now under structural, I could also break it down into, foundation and framing information and break it down that way. Because the larger the project, the longer list of views and sheets that you're going to have, and it makes it much easier to navigate your project browser. Now, just because we have those parameters added, it doesn't necessarily organize my views. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is if I go over to my View tab, over to my Windows panel, User Interface, the drop down, you'll find a button there called Browser Organization. So when I bring that up, this is where I can modify how my views and sheets are organized. And if I edit, I can apply different filters. So if I had several shared parameters to really dial this in and organize it, this would allow me to go ahead and control my views and my sheets. So you have many pieces here to remember. You have the shared parameter file, then you import that parameter and associate it to a piece of the project browser, whether it's a view or a sheet. And then you go into your browser organization and assign it. But then keep in mind, you have to go through and assign parameters to all your views. Notice under views I have a question mark. That's telling me that all the views under this question mark tab have not been associated one of those parameters so that it would get organized. So it's very easy to know what you didn't do yet until the question marks are gone, then your entire project will be organized.